Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. What we're watching here in animation is satellite infrared temperatures from yesterday. And what I want you to key on here for the southern region is where the main band of convection is, or thunderstorms. We can see that much of our thunderstorm activity kind of hugged the Gulf Coast right in through here. And over the coming days, you're going to see this particular region continuing to get lit up just like this. The upper level flow of the atmosphere, which we're going to see next, is really well suited for that particular type of pattern to persist. So what's going to be interesting about the upcoming forecast is there's going to be some folks in the southern region just on the northern edge of where this boundary will continue to linger, which yesterday was positioned right in through here. They're going to miss out on a lot of the precipitation. That is, unless we get the remnants of some systems that kind of come over out of the Central Plains, for example, into parts of the mid-Mississippi River Valley or Ohio River Valley into this part of the southern region. In addition to this, we're going to be having to watch what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico for any potential weak tropical system development in the coming days. And that's going to be some of the main things we're going to focus on in this particular video. By the way, before I change away from this, yesterday's thunderstorms, as they moved through parts of Nebraska, getting into Kansas and Missouri, you can see how cold those cloud tops were there. Some of those storms producing a lot of severe winds and hail reports as they meander through parts of Missouri. So a rough night for some folks in that part of the United States. But take a look at this. This is the current flow setup. We've kind of been discussing this all week. We have got this really messy flow out here in the Pacific Ocean right now. It is certainly blocked up. You can see the pattern doing something like this. And we've even got this little cutoff lower. So we have high over low over high. And that particular setup is one that blocks up the Pacific Ocean, gives us weak zonal flow across the United States. But more importantly, for those folks, especially in the southeast, is the flow we're getting in the mid and the upper levels coming out like this, meeting up with the jet stream flow right in through here. And what this is going to do, like I said, is this is going to leave an area of good upper level support right there along that white line I just drew for producing a lot of convective activity. Outside of that, we have our Canadian storm track pretty well defined here, and therefore we're going to be watching big low pressure systems go through Canada that could drop fronts, especially in the eastern half of the United States, that do clear things out at times. But overall, this is a pretty messy and weak flow pattern. And it's going to be one that's going to be quite persistent in the near term. So this is what I want to do next. I want to show you an animation where we're just going to add up every 6 hours the total accumulated precipitation through the next 10 days. So this is starting us off early in the morning on Friday. So this is the total rainfall that we're going to be getting early. And you know, we've been watching quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity just off the coast. But as I play this, let's just see how precipitation adds up with time. Ready? Here we go. Now, I hope you're noticing what I'm noticing. Overall, we're seeing a lot of convection, a lot of thunderstorm activity that just sits there right on the coast. And therefore, you're going to notice that the gradient going from the coast to inland is quite sharp. A lot of very heavy rainfall along the coast, and then as it moves inland, we get less. Now, let me show you some features we need to be discussing here. Getting you through the weekend, this is Saturday into Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, we can see that there's a pretty sizable chunk here of the southern region from Texas getting all the way over into parts of the mid-south right in through here that really miss out a lot on these thunderstorms. As we progress past our weekend, this is now Monday morning, getting you into early next week. There's something I want to be watching right here. You can kind of see it adding up right here along the coast. I want to tell you what's going on here with some potential tropical development. I'm not saying hurricanes, but a tropical disturbance that may go that direction. The next thing I want you to watch is take a look down here in the Bay of Campeche. We talked about this a couple of times this week. You can see that the latest run is trying to bring something out mid to late next week. And it's at this point maybe bringing it right up here along the east coast of Texas. So remember, we weren't sure exactly where this was going to go, but possibly by the end of next week, we could have a system that emerges right into there, heading up toward the coastal Texas. Meanwhile, and this is not really well resolved just yet, the models, but you do notice that next week, so this is about a week from now, you can see some heavier precipitation coming in here into parts of Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, and northern Texas. Now, this again would be at the end of next next week, but there's a bigger frontal feature that's draping. I mean, it looks as though it could cut across the eastern half of the United States. And at that point, they're seeing some more organized thunderstorm activity happening over here on the western side of this. One thing I do notice that is quite, well, not troubling, but I really wish it was otherwise, is that really getting you out through about the next 7 to 8 days, we really don't have much going on in by way of our monsoonal moisture coming up through parts of Arizona. Remember, we addressed that earlier this week. So that's bigger picture what we're talking about in terms of precipitation. Let's take a look at the severe threat today. Much of it's going to be outside of our southern region here. Again, we're going to have the possibility of lighting up the high plains. This area has been hit multiple times throughout this week with some record-setting hail, also some incredibly powerful thunderstorms producing tornadoes. And this same region that we've been watching again today in the day on Friday is under the gun. On Saturday, much of our severe weather risk is in the Midwest and in the Central Plains. And what do we have? Well, just along that boundary the next 2 days, just a general risk of thunderstorms. Let's take a look at our high-resolution NAM model. This starts off early in the morning here, about 5 o'clock in the morning on East Coast time for the high-res NAM. And as we click play here, what do you notice? It's just right there along that boundary. Just notice it's right here hugging the coast. I'll play it for you one more time. You can see that's where most of our shower and thunderstorm activity is going to be. Maybe as we get into Saturday evening hours, some of the models are suggesting through parts of Oklahoma and Texas, a frontal boundary pushing away from the mountains here, getting into the high plains, right in through there. Could have to watch out for this quarter. This will be Saturday evening. We'll take a closer look at that over the weekend to see if this is a more robust signature here. Okay, so let's take that and now let's expand this up by using the European model. Let's try to pick up on the major features we need to be watching. So let's just go ahead and get it right to Saturday afternoon. Again, see it? Right there, just hugging the coast. If you're north of this line that I'm drawing, you could go through several days of having widely scattered showers and storms, but some folks will just get completely missed. We still have the dominant ridge that's sitting here off of the way off the east coast, sitting way out here in the open Atlantic, and that's feeding moisture into this. So we're now out to Sunday afternoon. This is now getting into Monday morning here, and this is what I wanted you to watch. You see, over the weekend, we're going to have to watch right here along the coast for the potential for a weak little tropical disturbance, a little weak low pressure system, a little mesoscale feature to move right up along the coast of North and South Carolina. Now, we would be, honestly, given the moisture deficit in this area, I think this would be a good slow-moving, multi-day rainfall event that could come right up the coast here. We're going to have to watch this very, very carefully as it could, put down some much-needed rain in that area. Getting you down to next Tuesday morning. Here we are next Tuesday. So see, you saw that kind of slide slowly from South Carolina up to Virginia. Still, again, we're watching the same stuff here along the Gulf Coast. It's going to be right along the coast that those thunderstorms show up. Now we're out to next Tuesday night, getting into next Wednesday morning. Now at this point, I want you to watch a couple of things. This big area of high pressure, watch it spread middle and into next week right down here across the southeast. And at the same time that comes down, we're going to watch the Bay of Campeche as well. So here comes the big area of high pressure. There it is. Boom, 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 right into the middle part of the country. We will see showers and thunderstorms out ahead of it. And then this right in through here, this is our potential weak tropical disturbance that as high pressure builds into the mid part of the country by next weekend, we're going to watch right in through here for this to sneak up into this part of Texas. Okay, so see it right there? Still not well resolved, but the models keep producing it. I hope that it's not like a phantom storm that the models produce, but outside of that, you saw it. It's just right here along this region that we have our best chances for storms, and it gets less as you go north off the coast, okay? So we need that system, honestly, the two of them we just talked about. Florida, you don't need more rain than what we've already had, but we need to watch that first one that could go up right here along the coast early next week, and then coming out of the Bay of Campeche, ideally it would come and just slowly migrate right through this area, bringing in some much needed rain. And you can see that reflected well in the latest drought monitor, which came out yesterday. We've actually seen an increase in drought coverage in the southeast and also in Texas, two regions that have seen a lot. Well, the southeast has seen a whole lot of hit hit or miss storms. And as a result, because there's not been anything large that can kind of blanket the whole area, we still have our drought popping up there in pockets. And over parts of Texas and Oklahoma, again, it was earlier this month, we had that large dominant ridge, and the upper level ridge, which I'll denote like this, produces surface high pressure here, and that just cleared this area out. So that's an important thing to see. I just want to also let you know that corridor right in through here still missed out on some of the bigger rains recently, which is why we can see the drought monitor still picking up in the heart of the Corn Belt, the lack of precipitation there. So let's just see if we have any European ensemble model agreement on what to watch. And certainly we can see, remember this thing kind of taking shape here. This takes us all the way out through the next 10 days. So at the end of it, we're going to watch right in through that area. And remember our first system coming up in through here. Now remember, these aren't hurricanes. These are just tropical disturbances we're going to be on the lookout for. And also, we finally have something to watch coming off of Western Africa here in the next 10 days, though, but certainly nothing major in the next several days. So we'll keep a close eye on that and update you next week on what we're expecting to come off the west coast of Africa. Okay, check out our flow pattern in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You can see that throughout the next several days, I just took you out of the next 5 days, we do see this Canadian storm track with our deep low kind of moving in this direction. But after this, look at the size of the ridge building here over the south central United States. So that means the heat is on. I'll show you those temperatures in a few minutes. Now with time, this is next Wednesday, this is the bigger front that comes in on the south side of this trough that kind of clears some things out here for us and really focuses much of our precip, again, right along the Gulf Coast. But take a look, once I get you out past this week, so this is now out a week, getting us into week 2, there's a pretty clear signal that we're going to be building in some decent ridging along the west coast. So this will be major heat for the west, but we could go back over toward more seasonable temperatures here across the eastern half of the country. To show you what I mean, well, the heat's on in the near term. Let's watch the near term temperatures through the next 6 days. So here we go. These are temperatures on Friday. Triple-digit heat again in Texas and Oklahoma. Upper 90s. We even have a heat advisory down here along the Gulf Coast. But a lot of upper 90s here across Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and through this area. Mid-90s as we get up here into parts of the Carolinas. Moving you forward into Saturday temperatures. Still, the heat's on in Texas. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's middle of next week, whereas the heat stays on in Texas, we get some reprieve from it over the southeast as that frontal boundary slips through here, giving us temperatures that are much more in line with our seasonal normals at that point. So that gets you all out to next Thursday here. Putting it all together in aggregate, our next 5 days, we've been talking about this quite a bit, split north-south here on where the heat is, much above average temperatures in Texas. Getting out to days 5 through 10, well, now we're starting to see the influence of that broader trough sweeping through as the heat builds back out to the west. And looking way out here to day 10 through 15, excuse me, this is the time period where we kind of saw this broader ridge building in this area and a trough in through here. And so that's an important kind of pattern to see because that shoves a lot of our heat back to the west and gives us much more closer to average temperatures here across the southeast. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up right there now that we got our longer term perspective, at least getting us out here to the end of August. And we're going to go ahead and wrap it up and hope you have a great weekend. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you watch all of our content next week. Have a great and safe weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.